Alright, MrSotko here, and welcome back to another Starcraft 2 replay cast. And it is a 1 vs 1 between our purple Zerg player Scarlett, and up top we have our red Zerg player Solar. And you might be wondering, another Scarlett video. Well, the website spawningtool.com, where I get most of my replays, have an abundance of Scarlett replays at the moment, and honestly not that many new ones of any other players. So Scarlett replay it is, along with Solar as well, another very good player. I'm going to speed this up to the 8x mark, the 2-minute point of the game, and everything starts good. All the units come out, all that good stuff. So we'll see what these two players are up to this game. And now Zerg vs Zerg is always a favorite of mine to observe and cast, as it's just such a tactical matchup compared to all the others. And with all the Zerglings running around and the single Baneling that can essentially turn a game around by killing lots of Zerglings of your opponent, just a really wild game. They're usually very short and always action-packed, and the two Zerglings now going at it here. And now more Zerglings than the other Zerglings, and thus they win. And Scarlett with the early expansion, and of course the expansion from Solar as well, but that is a given with Zerg. An interesting map with the gold minerals right off the bat. And we have Overlords moving around, scouting out the situation here. Scarlett, a couple of Queens up front there, takes out that scouting Zergling, doesn't get to see too much. Spinecrawler coming up as well. And the 3 Queens out and about, putting out them tumors. It's not a tumor. I wish I could speak with a Schwarzenegger accent. That would be ideal, of course. And we do have some Zerglings on the way from Solar, and just got that metabolic boost. And the Queens blocking the way, and the entrance there. Another expansion going up for Solar. No new expansion for Scarlett just yet, as she is sort of under siege right now from several of these Zerglings, and not the Steven Seagal movie Under Siege, but the other version, the one where you get sieged by Zerglings. 2 evolution chambers coming up here right at the entrance to block the way, leaving only a small way through here, and you have to get past a Spinecrawler to do that. And 1 Baneling out for Solar right now. And right now Scarlett getting a Spire up and going, and a Roach Warren for Solar. So 2 polar opposites, if you will. Ground-based and air-based. The Roach Warren and an evolution chamber. Actually, not 2 evolution chambers, a Roach Warren and an evolution chamber. So researching a little bit of roaches, and the Spire coming up soon too. Where is that Spire? All the way in the back there. And for Solar, the Roach Warren and the rest of the base looking pretty good as well. And Overseer coming on in soon. And missile attacks and glial reconstitution coming in for both players. And the Zerglings moving out. And the Queen's going to try and regulate that situation, but a Baneling here. And I gotta try and bust that wall of Zerglings with the Baneling, and now they are in and free to cause a little bit of destruction, but not gonna do too much here. Maybe get a drone or 2, but it doesn't look like it. Looks like it's just scouting around everywhere, and may have gotten a drone kill there. I'm not sure, actually. It's kind of a cluster situation going on there. I think both of the Zerglings just died, and they didn't get much of anything, but definitely did see that Spire, so notice that that is on the way, and that's not gonna be good at all. Are there any Spore Crawlers coming up? That is the case. Spore Crawlers coming up at all of the mineral lines, and the Roaches are now on the way to Scarlett's base there. And with the Roaches versus Roaches, but however, Scarlett is packing some Mutalisks here, and the Queens, the home defensive advantage of those Queens. And partially, temporarily lost my voice there, as I did cast 3 other replays recently. And the second expansion coming up for Scarlett soon here. So she did have sort of an economic advantage for a little while there, not expanding and not adding additional drones to another expansion, which does cost quite a bit and takes a little while to gain profit from that. So she was able to tech up to those Mutalisks there fairly quickly. Now the Mutalisks moving out, and we'll see what they can do about this Zerg versus Zoig situation. And Roaches, and a pile of Zerglings there. I mean, here comes the Mutalisk now, going to take down an Overlord. And there's an Overseer here, too, to take out some of those creep tumors. And Mutalisk not going to do too much here. Spore Crawler out in the middle of nowhere. And a very excellent spot to have one. Forcing away those Mutalisks there. And looks like a pausing situation went on there for a little bit. Mutalisk pile from Solar, a big pile. And definitely more than what Scarlett has right now. However, Scarlett has way more roaches going on. And those roaches are going to take a big beating from those Mutalisks before they're able, before they're going to go down, rather. And they're going to do a lot of economic damage. We have some roaches up here that are doing some damage as well. And going after the Queen and the drones. And looks like drones specifically also, we got one roach down there. He's having a good time. And the roaches here, looks like they cleaned house fairly well. And the roaches up top got a lot of kills as well. Units lost tab. 93 units lost for Solar. Only 30 for Scarlett right now. 2,900 to 5,100 lost. So a big difference there. A very noticeable and significant difference, as these roaches just take a huge beating from these Mutalisks, as they don't do too much. Fortunately for the Mutalisks, they're all balled up, so they're at least taking that damage from the bounce. And so Scarlett has done her damage fairly well. And now Solar very, very low on drones overall, and has to remake a lot of them. And doesn't have too much money to be doing that. Now Solar, here comes a retaliation attack. And there are some Hydulists and a couple Mutalisks scattered about, and the Queen's there to defend against these Mutalisks. And looks like they're ready to attack the expansion here. And takes out a few things. Looks like a Spore Crawler was going up there, but got taken out by those Mutas. So I'm going to need another one of those, maybe even two, to deal with this massive amount of Mutalisks. And if that is even going to help at all. And now a pile of Roaches and Zerglings being developed there at the front of the base for another attack. And all of these Overlords over here to soak up those Glaives. A very interesting game so far. Solar now way behind in terms of income. And just starting to catch up now, but took them a lot. And that was a lot of larvae lost to remake all of those drones, which could have been units. Right now, a large amount of units being developed by Scarlett. Some Mutalisks in the process there. And another Spore Crawler was being added as well. 2 Spore Crawlers at the main. And looks like none at the expansion here. Just going to defend that. And got rid of her own evolution chamber there to get some easier in and out access to the base. And Mutalisks coming in to the expansion again. Really has to watch out now. A large ball of Mutalisks for Scarlett. And not only that, the large ball of ground of Hydulists and the Queen to deal with that, as well as some Roaches peppered in there just to absorb some of those Glaives for now. And got a free Overlord there, free Queen kill. And I'm going to try and get that Roach Warren, did a chunk of damage to it. That'll teach you, Roach Warren. And 3 Spore Crawlers now at the main, so that is pretty much unattackable for these Mutalisks. Not that they couldn't kill that, they would certainly suffer quite a bit of damage doing so. And not only that, they would be preoccupied with the Spore Crawlers while this army comes and attacks them. And a decent amount of banelings being developed as well for Solar. And flyer attacks level 1 for each player. 13 Mutalisks in production for Solar. So really going just all out Mutalisks here. And we'll soon have a ton of them on the field. An even bigger pile than what we see now is about to commence. In just a second, all of those Mutalisks will be released. And here they go now. And add to the chaos pile of Mutalisks. Here we go, Mutalisk versus Mutalisk, but 15 more getting added to the pile for Solar. And trying to snipe that expansion down. Got a couple good hits on there, and with all of those Mutalisks, just a couple good hits does a lot of damage. And Scarlett aggressively defending her new expansion with all of these Hydralisks. And the old ball of Mutalisks is incoming with a bunch of Banelings, and that's going to hurt those Mutalisks, or those Hydralisks rather, if they're in front, but they are not. And most of those Banelings hit all of the Queens, which is not a very efficient practice. And now the Roaches here are going to be completely destroyed by Scarlett on the way back to the base. However, she did keep a good number of these Hydralisks, little AA batteries in this situation. And here come the Zerglings to deal with the Hydralisks and the Mutalisk ball. So much destruction every time they fire. Looks like these Mutalisks here were firing at the Hydralisks for the most part, and Scarlet's were balled up very, very tightly and would have done huge damage to Scarlet's Mutalisks should he have been actually focusing on those Mutalisks instead. But a very interesting game with tons and tons of Mutalisks, so both players played quite well, but in the end, Scarlett pulled ahead with that gigantic Mutalisk ball and the essential AA battery Hydralisks. But I hope you guys enjoyed this replay, and I'll see you guys next time.